Welcome into the Michigan State Hockey Hub weekend preview as Michigan State set to play against Minnesota this upcoming weekend. Now, the Spartans have really had a tough run of it recently. They just keep losing. And right now they're slipping in the standings, and, there's starting to be questions of just how much progress has been made over the past few years. That's more of an off-season topic that we will get to. No episode last week with the Spartans not playing. Um, no guest this week as well. I'm going to do this one solo, but we will have Jeremy Dewar on the show. Hopefully next week. We're trying to work out the scheduling, and we're going to talk about recruiting. As any team that struggles loves to do, talk about who's coming next, right? But let's go ahead and jump in to the weekend preview and also just kind of touch on where Michigan State stands right now. Now, Michigan State currently sits at 11-14-1, 5-11 in the Big Ten. Not exactly great. They've really been struggling recently. And of course, they're going to face Minnesota, extremely good team. Now we'll get into kind of what they have this weekend, but let's just take a peek at this all-time record. 125, 50, and 16. That's Minnesota's. Minnesota coming out on top 125 times. Spartans only winning 50. Man, that I just saw that stat and that was alarming. Of course, we know how the state of Minnesota is at producing talent. Now, as we look ahead for the rest of the year, here's what Michigan State has left. You have Minnesota this weekend. Next weekend, you go on the road to Yost to play Michigan. The next day in Detroit to play Michigan, the duel in the D. And then you finish out the last two series at home, Notre Dame and Penn State. As you look at the schedule, you see two really tough teams and two teams that are not as tough. Now, Notre Dame's pretty talented. Penn State's kind of near where Michigan State is in the standings. I think that they're better than their record shows. I don't really know, though. It's kind of tough to say at this point in time. We're this far into the season. Your record is kind of what you are, I guess. But looking at the Big Ten standings, Michigan's in first place, 39 points. Ohio State second, 37 points. Minnesota third, 31 points. Notre Dame with 26 points. Penn State 17 points. Wisconsin 16. And the caboose of the Big Ten, Michigan State 14 points. Obviously, when you're in last place, every one of your conference games is going to be against a team ahead of you. So, we have Penn State coming up in a couple weeks. Man, Notre Dame, I don't really see Michigan State being able to climb much, maybe a little bit, but I mean, you have that top level of Michigan and Ohio State, and you can put Minnesota in there just depending on what their roster is going to look like. What's Michigan's roster going to look like? I'm referring to the Olympics. So some of these players have left to go over to China for the Olympics. The Big Ten. I mean, it's looking like another Big Ten tournament where Michigan State would be on the road. Michigan State hasn't won a Big Ten tournament game. It could just be we're looking at another potential disappointing season. A little bit of an update on Mitchell Lewandowski. Coach Cole mentioned that they do plan on getting him back this year, which is great news, even if, this season doesn't turn out for anything with the tournament or anything like that. I would hate to see Lewandowski, after all of his years here, go out with an injury and us not knowing when we would see him play last. So, hopefully he can come back by the end of the year, get a few games in, score a goal, get a round of applause, and be remembered for going out not with injury. That would be great. Now, we all know what Lewandowski brings to the team, and we all know how much they struggle without him. Well, Griffin Lochran's also been out since the last Minnesota series, so Michigan State's been a little bit injured. But, man, as I'm looking through the numbers, I'm just realizing this team just doesn't have enough players that can score. They just simply don't. And I just wanted to look at the games since the holiday break. So the first games since then were the GLI back in late December. So there's been 8 games. And I'm going to run through some of these stats. Please hang in with me. I know just me talking numbers gets kind of old, but I just want to paint this picture. Jesse Tucker's been phenomenal. He's moved up to the first line center. I feel like it doesn't matter where you play him in the lineup. He's going to produce 9 points in the past 8 games. He just sees the ice well. He's kind of like, when you have a facilitating point guard, a guy that's not looking for a shot, like a Ricky Rubio type, who's just like moving the ball, making the smart play, setting others up. Kind of an underappreciated role at times. That's what Jesse Tucker is, a playmaker. I really like what I've seen, and that is, he's a freshman. So going forward, that is something to at least be excited about. Davidson, only 2 points. He's been pretty streaky this year to begin with. Middendorf, 5 points in the past 8 games, 4 goals. Had a 2-goal game against, I believe, Wisconsin a couple weeks ago. I like what I've seen from him all year, and that's definitely a piece going forward. Josh Nottler, this has been a problem. He has 1 point. He has a total of 2 points since November 19th. He looks like he took a step forward this year and in the beginning of the year. And, when you watch him play, you can see at times like he makes the right pass or he has a level of skill that certain other players don't when he's handling the puck and moving the puck. He's just not converting. He's been bumped down the lineup, even listed on the 4th line at times. At this point, I mean, it's kind of getting to the point of make or break. This is an NHL draft pick who is looking like, a depth piece at the college level. It really sucks because I like him a lot. I like his skill set. It's just not clicking right now, and I don't know what the answer is. Dennis is on 1 point now. Before, I'm not trying to say all these D-men need to be scoring or certain players should score more. That's not everyone's role. I understand that. I'm just pointing out the offense in general. Cole Krieger has 5 points in the past 8 games since the break. Christoph Papp, 1 point. Definitely has been better this year. He needs a big offseason. He needs to be important going into next year. You see flashes of it. He's taking some time to adjust. But you're talking about another guy who was on NHL draft radars, did not get selected. But, if you're on the radar, people at least know that you have skill. And I'm just expecting more out of him. He did make a good jump this year. A little bit more consistency in his game would go a long way. Man, I mean, right now, Michigan State needs a lot of players to step up for next year. And hoping that they all do and kind of banking on that is not a great strategy. But there's really not much that they can do unless they hit the portal or incoming freshmen step up. Speaking of incoming freshmen stepping up, here's a freshman that stepped up. David Gucciardi has been great this year. He could be an NHL guy in the future. 5 points in the last 8 games. He did have that 2-goal game back in the GLI, OT winner. He's just looked great, really settling into a role. Hopefully he sticks around for a few years, but the trajectory he's on is really impressive. Christian Krieger, no points since December 10th. I like the Krieger twins. They're extremely frustrating at times. They play a hard style, but man, they commit a lot of penalties. A lot. Takes too many penalties. Turnovers have been a huge issue for whatever reason. They're going to be moving on after this year, and there's going to be Sasana moving on as well. Just kind of a refresh on the blue line. Not that it's not all on them or anything, but sometimes it's just time to get new players in. So Christian Krieger's kind of been just okay, I think. Nicholas Mueller, no points since December 10th. Again, I've said it 1,000 times. I think he has more offense in his game. I love what he brings defensively and on the PK. Another guy who just hasn't developed at the rate that I expected him to. Not that I thought he was going to score 20 goals or anything, but Jagger Joshua, 2 points past 8 games, not scoring this year as well. You can just copy and paste not scoring on most of these players' names. AJ Hodges, no points since December 4th. Hardly noticed him during the games. He had a good game in the GLI that I went to. I remember he stood out some, made some smart plays and stuff like that. Like, I know there's more in his game. Like, I know there is. And he showed it at times. I don't know. He's just a depth slash in and out of the lineup guy at this point. Adam Goodsir, 1 point. Another guy, don't really notice much. Um, Kyle Haskins, 1 point this year. And he showed flashes last year as a freshman. I don't want to sound like I'm just bashing on these players. I'm not. It's just when you have this many players, um, I guess, underperforming or not exceeding expectations. I don't expect everyone to, but pretty much everyone is kind of struggling a little bit. So, yeah, Kyle Haskins has been, it's just disappointing. I thought we were going to count on him to put up a little bit in the offensive category this year. As everyone knows, I'm a big Tanner Kelly fan. 2 goals the past 2 games. And I keep saying this guy has some offense in his game. I like the style. He's going to be one of those guys I do expect next year to put up some offense. Year after that, even better. Now, hell, I've expected that with a lot of players. But I do want to pull this clip. This is his goal or one of his goals from last week. And you could just see the skill I'm talking about. Those of you who are not on YouTube, I'm going to show a slow motion clip of his redirection goal. So just hang in with me for just 1 second. Okay, I'm just going to play that again. And what I love about that goal, he was kind of battling for the puck over in the corner. It gets up to the point, or who was, I already forgot who they got the puck to, but and then he goes to the area of the ice that he knows he can score. He goes to the net, right out in front of the net, gets in position, maneuvers his body, redirects the goal. It was just beautiful. That's just not something that we've seen a lot of this year from players kind of trying to get into those positions to score goals. So I know his stats aren't going to jump out at you if you're looking at a spreadsheet, but I think we can all see there's a little bit more in there. Drew DeRitter, 3 or more goals each of the last 4 games. I don't put many of those goals, hardly any, on him. He's been playing well all year. Here's a stat that I was looking at. This is kind of crazy to me. DeRitter's played 18 games. 40 or more. He has made 40 or more saves 4 times this year. He has made between 30 and 40 saves 10 times this year and made between 20 and 30 saves 4 times. They're just getting a ton of shots on him. That's what it is. I mean, they're getting so many shots, and you can only save so many no matter how good you are. He still has an over his save percentage is still .935, I believe, or around there. So he's playing well. It's just, I mean, when you have this many shots fired against you, you're going to let some in. Enough of all that. Let's take a look at Minnesota in this weekend. So you have games Friday night at 8 p.m., Saturday night at 6 p.m. Minnesota comes in 15-11. Their power play is clicking at 17.4%, low, especially for their program. Typically have a better power play than that. Penalty kills at 84%. And Minnesota is a talented team. They've split 8 of the past 9 series, which has them in 3rd place in the Big Ten. Now, what we do know is it's kind of been a mess of a roster situation developing the past couple weeks. Their top, that says Taupe on the screen, I did not catch that, but top 2 scorers, Myers and Knives, they are both out, both in Beijing for the Olympics. So rooting for them while they're in the Olympics. That's big. It's a big loss when you have your top 2 scorers out. But with the depth on this team, there's going to be someone else to fill in. You won't see the drop off like when Lewandowski's out and the offense takes a noticeably large dip. That's not the same with Minnesota. Brock Faber's also out, who's a D-man, but they have several NHL draft prospect D-men, and they're going to be able to step up there. Now, their goalie, LaFontaine, left right after the Michigan State series, and right once the second half started, sorry. And he went to the NHL. Justin Close has stepped in as their goalie. He is 3-3, 2.16 goals against, .906 save percentage. He's a fine goalie, but it's not like we're playing against the best goalie in the league or anything like that. However, this is going to be a tough weekend. It really is. Where Michigan State is mentally, I don't know. I would imagine after this is year 5 of Cole, like, how long does that message he gives in the locker room resonate with players when the on ice product has been, give or take, the same, a little bit better at times this year, mostly in the beginning of the year when they were playing out of conference. And this team is better than last year. It's just, if I'm a player and I'm in year 4 and I haven't seen a ton of change in record or production, or they haven't gotten over a hump, is really what I'm trying to say. Have they taken a step in the right direction? Sure. Have they eclipsed anything that you could label them still? No. Like, if you still said that they're the bottom of the Big Ten type team, yeah, the stats are showing that, and they have been for a while. So hopefully they can finish this year out strong. We'll see. It's not going to be easy. Those last 4 games at home should be nice. You would hope that they could win a couple. But it's going to be a big offseason. And Coach Cole has a lot to prove. And if he wants to stick around long term, they're there. And I don't want to sound like it's 100% on him. But at some point, something needs to change with the record and the on ice product. So we'll see. Like I said, next week, Jeremy Dewar, hopefully next week, will join me. We're going to talk all about recruiting. And Jeremy is a freaking wizard. He's literally one of the smartest hockey people that you can talk to, and he knows junior hockey. He knows any type of hockey recruiting. I've never even come across and had a conversation with somebody as knowledgeable as him. And I know he's grinding some tape right now as we speak. I'm going to try to convince him to do a really long episode. And maybe what I'll do is try to publish it as one, and then within kind of, I'm trying to think of a way to, okay, we have an hour and a half episode. You can just skip to each player you want to hear about. So I'll try to do something like that. I don't really know how that's going to work, but prediction for this weekend, I'm going to have to go with a sweep for Minnesota. You know what? No, I'll go split. I don't want to go sweep again. I'll go split. Michigan State takes it on Saturday night. Thank you all so much. Please, please, please like, subscribe, share, whatever you can do. I put a decent amount of work into these, and it just helps. So, the way YouTube works, if you're not liking, commenting, sharing, whatever, pretty much no one's going to see it, which is fine. I don't do this for views. I do this because I enjoy it, and I know so some of you all like to get this information. But anything you can do, just a little bit helps. So thanks, and go green.